Hey guys, this is Austin, and today I'm here with a video going over what's on my tech. So my friend Marquez recently did a what's on my tech video, and a ton of you guys tagged me in it, so I decided let me go ahead and show you guys what devices I use, what I have on them, and just kind of show you what my setup looks like. For my main phone, I use the HTC One M8 Google Play Edition. So I absolutely love this phone. I like metal build quality in phones, it's a big plus for me. The front-facing speakers are also awesome, and the fact that it runs stock Android is also a big plus. I'm really not a big fan of skins and bloatware and all that kind of stuff. Pretty much the only thing that lets it down are the cameras. So, I mean, it's not bad, it's not terrible, especially in low light, but compared to something like an iPhone or an LG G3, it does kind of fall flat. However, considering just how good the rest of the phone is, I'm kind of willing to overlook that. So I like to keep things fairly basic, fairly minimalistic, so I do have a clock widget. Let me know the date and time and all that kind of stuff. I have a lot of boring apps, so like the phone and Hangouts. I do use Google Drive a fair bit, as well as Photos. I definitely use Spotify all the time, so this is actually something you'll find in basically all of my devices, so listen to a lot of music. There's also YouTube, big surprise, I watch YouTube videos. I have Reddit News, which is actually probably one of my favorite Reddit clients just for any device. It's actually really nicely designed, especially for Android, of course. Moving down to my dock, you'll see Chrome, which is pretty much the best web browser for Android in my opinion. The next thing is Phoenix, so I use Twitter an absolute ton, so having a good client is a big deal, and this is by far the best thing that I've found on Android, so definitely recommend Phoenix. Have Gmail as well as the Google Camera app, pretty self-explanatory there. Move over to my second page and you'll see I do have a widget that goes over all of my calendar information, which is helpful just at a glance. I have a couple folders here, so I use Pocket Casts for podcasts. I have Netflix and Hulu. I usually don't watch a lot of video on a phone. However, the HTC One, it's got those good front-facing speakers as well as the decent-sized screen, so every once in a while I'll watch a show or a movie on my phone. I have Audible when I'm listening to audiobooks, as well as Kindle for when I want to read. Again, I generally don't read on my phone, but every once in a while, I don't want to have to take a tablet or something with me. I'll maybe read just a little bit. Wolfram Alpha is a great app for calculations and whatnot, Firefox and Opera, just in case I need an extra web browser. I do have other benchmarks on this phone, so I do a lot of benchmarking, even though all that information doesn't necessarily go into the video, but anytime I get my hands on a new phone, I've got to benchmark it and got to see how it all runs and everything, so it's just kind of helpful for comparisons. I have a folder full of kind of like work stuff, so flight track, so I fly a reasonable bit, so that's hugely helpful app for me. Some boring stuff beside here. I do actually like Snapseed a lot, so anytime I need to edit a photo, Snapseed's definitely my go-to. I also go ahead and pop this back open here, UPS, Uber, that kind of normal stuff. Moving down over to the games, I don't really play a lot of games on Android, but when I do, it's usually going to be something like Threes or Osmos. YouTube Studio is an amazing app. I absolutely love this. So it kind of allows me to skip the 301. So when you guys see like 301 views, I can actually see in real time how my videos are doing, which is just a nice little thing for a nerd like me. Then I have Facebook Pages Manager, Instagram settings, pretty much boring stuff beyond that. I also use the iPhone 5S. So I bounce back and forth between this and the One M8 all the time, but the main thing that keeps me coming back is the camera. So not only does it have great optics and a great sensor, but iOS does a really good job processing images, and apps like Instagram are just much better on the iPhone. So because of that, this pretty much always gets a spot in my pocket. Now the rest of the layout is actually very similar, so I have the same sort of apps like Drive, YouTube, Hangouts, that sort of thing. A couple differences are though, I do use Alien Blue as my iOS Reddit client. I keep the Google app on here at all times because I do really love having Google now. Like pretty much everyone with an iPhone, I have a folder full of apps that I never use that I just kind of stuff in here and pretend that they don't exist. As far as utilities, it's actually pretty much the exact same as on Android. I do have a few more games on the iPhone, so things like Thomas Was Alone I've been really enjoying. I still have Flappy Bird on here, as well as Minecraft, which I've actually been trying to get back into since they added the new update with the Infinite Worlds. Besides that, pretty much all that's left is my dock, so I do use Safari over Chrome because it is quite a bit faster on the iPhone. I use Tweetbot as my Reddit client. This actually syncs well with other Macs, so when I want to kind of bounce back and forth, I can do that. And I have the Gmail client as well as the camera app. For my editing computer, I use a new Mac Pro alongside a sharp 4K display and a new Dell 1440p monitor. So I love having a ton of screen real estate for when I edit, and having that 6-core Mac Pro makes chewing through video an absolute breeze. So for the software, it's nothing too crazy, so I do use Safari over Chrome on OS X. I feel like it's just a slight bit more polished. And for Twitter, not Reddit, I almost said Reddit. For Twitter, I do use Tweetbot, so I like it because it does have decent integration with the iPhone version, and it's just a nicely designed app overall. So as far as the editing stuff, it's pretty much all Adobe. So I do use Premiere. I've actually used it for the last couple years. Solid editing program. I also do use After Effects, not as much as I used to, but when I need to go and like blur something out or do some compositing or keying, that kind of stuff, it comes in handy. For coloring, I do use SpeedGrade. I'm really bad at colors, so SpeedGrade makes it a little easier for me. I have Photoshop pretty much just to make thumbnails because I suck with graphics. I also do have Spotify on here. Like I was saying earlier, I use Spotify all the time, pretty much always listening to music, so very nice to have. I have the App Store, Pages, Keynote, all that kind of stuff. Nothing really too impressive down here. However, I do have a nice little widget that actually is very helpful called iStat. So this is something that I wish Windows had. It kind of allows you to see at a quick glance all kinds of different features about your device. So for example, I can see memory usage, I can go ahead and see how my SSD is doing, what kind of programs are needing to take up, the read and write speeds. I can see CPU usage. I can see all kinds of these really nice little things. Even I can take a look and see, for example, my CPU temperatures over time, but getting really kind of drilled down into the memory and the graphics and all kinds of really cool stuff. So iStat is actually one of my favorite parts of using OS X, weirdly enough. For my gaming PC, I've actually already done a video going over everything, so you guys can check that out if you want to see things like specs. But for now, I pretty much use it as a Steam box. So I have a fair few games in my Steam library, so not all of them are installed, but I've collected quite a few games over the last 4 or 5 years. I've also been playing some console games. So I actually missed The Last of Us when it came out for PS3. So with the remastered version for PS4, I've actually been really enjoying not only the single player, but the multiplayer is actually pretty fun as well. Another game is Just Cause 2, so this is one of the PlayStation Now streaming titles. Mostly been playing this just to kind of test out how PlayStation Now is, and I might actually end up making a video on it. Resogun is a really fun spaceship shooter. Not gonna lie, this is actually probably the most played game on the PS4 I've had, just because it's just really fun. And also Watch Dogs. So I've actually played more Watch Dogs on the PS4 than anything else, mostly because it had a definitely troubled launch on the PC, so PS4 version seemed to be a little bit better sorted at the beginning anyway. I also have an Xbox One, although this is more of a media box than anything else. So this is where I watch the majority of my YouTube, as well as things like Hulu and Netflix and Blu-rays and all that kind of stuff. Although I do have some games for it, so Forza 5 is easily my favorite racing game right now. I've always been more of a fan of the simulation style like Gran Turismo, so been having a lot of fun with Forza. And also Titanfall. I've got a lot of hours into Titanfall. It's funny, I'm not usually a huge first-person shooter guy, but Titanfall is kind of fresh enough that really kind of sucked me in. Actually, it sucked me in a little too much, to be honest. So what's on your tech? It could be a phone, tablet, desktop, laptop, game console, whatever it is. Let me know what you're using in the comments below, or you can make a video and tweet it to me at AustinNotDuncan, and I'll retweet some of my favorites over the next couple days. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.